Think on how well a collection of your own essays on those far-flung and exotic parts might fare. Why, sir, I warrant they would outsell the Bible! Dr. Johnson!
Who's that, damn it?
Rose early in high spirits, Dr. Johnson has at last set foot on Caledonian soil, and it is now up to me, James Boswell, to open the great man's eyes to a Nova Scotia. What joy!
Have I gone mad? Am I kidnapped? I do not wish to be here, sir.
You are never kidnapped, nor have you gone mad, sir. On the contrary, I cannot think of any less foolish place for you to be at this time than here in Scotland, that has written, if you will forgive me, so ignorantly of her peoples in the past. A little nutmeg.
My dear James, where there is nothing worth knowing of a place, there may be no accusation of ignorance. Show me one Scotchman, and I will show you a nation of them.
Your man wasn't too chirrup having to open up the Sabbath. But there you gang. All you ever wanted to ken about these Western Isles, but was feared to ask. Yes, you're right, Mr. He has got heed like a tumshy.
Thank you, Joseph.
The what for he is a bug enough donor's got me bait. Everybody ken them islands over in with cannibals. Clappy do, Your Honour.
All Fool's Day 1773, and so began our historic journey. My valet had secured for us a brace of lively mounts, that our venturing forth into North Britain and her watery territories be made as expeditiously as our appetite to record our observations might afford.
Come, sir. We're almost at the place recommended to me by a friend for its excellent accommodation and cuisine. There shall we take our ease and dine upon good Scotch provender and a little warm negus.
A little warm what, Mr. Boswell?
Red berry, Your Worship. But you're glad to feel he course down the strap on a Saturday night.
I'm gratified indeed, sir, that you thought to fetch along your servant here, for I believe he might divert me along the way, were I ever to comprehend half of what he said. I have at home in London a grocer man of your complexion, Ignatius Sancho by name. It has written a little poetry, and of whom I'm passing fond. He does, however, have a head start over you in speaking English. Is this some sort of pigeon learnt at your mother's knee, perhaps?
You leave my mother's knees out of this.
You may forgive Joseph his apparent disregard of your eminence. He is an uncouth fellow, but recently come into my employ by way of the army.
The Black Watch.
And most assuredly to return to those ranks should he not learn to keep a civil tongue in his head.
Aye, that'll be right.
Allow me to ride on to these inns a beg and apprise them of our coming there. I take it you have no aversion to the likes of venison, hare, salmon fish, nor grouse, sir.
No aversion whatever, Mr. Boswell.
You see, we do not rely upon oats to the exclusion of all else for sustenance. Get up.
I cannot apologize enough, sir. This friend's commendations came to me through the back pages of the Edinburgh Review, an organ I no longer trust. As you know, I have spoken to the landlord. He is most in his right and blames the lack of victuals of the death of his wife. Though whether she gorged herself on him before departing this earth, or merely neglected to place an order with a dry salter, he did not say. He is, however, by way of small recompense, having beds made up, that we might rest before catching the early tide in the morning. You have my guarantee, my dear sir. We shall by tomorrow find paradise across the water.
Ah, that all makes sense, sir, when they say that a soul must pass through purgatory before that miracle is wrought, and this, most assuredly, is purgatory. Nay, but for the lack of heat, hell, damn it!
Ah, here he is. I thought I ordered you to water the hawk.
What is here?
Tis a mirage.
Hey, mirage, Your Honour. Here, get that squeeze.
Where have you come by all of this?
Some beer, Doctor.
I gave you no money for it.
Folk true, sir, folk true. You've never been a soldier, have you, Maester? You mean you first as I went to thought it was the devil himself come to possess their bairns? You want to saw him skedaddle?
Bless you for a scallywag.
God, if this morsel of thievery and deception ever get back to Edinburgh, I shall be run out of the advocate's chamber for a common criminal.
You would then be in very good company, Mr. Boswell. But did not our Lord Saviour himself choose to be crucified along with such like?
Tell me, sir, what strange tongue or dialect are we being entertained in? Red Indian? Pomeranian? I've scarce heard the like since poor old Hodger was trampled upon by a horse. Earth? No, horse, sir. Trampled upon by a horse. The language, sir. It is Earth. Or Gaelic.
It's never pie there.
A fine ancient language of which I have, unfortunately, but few words. I implore you, do not quiz me first until we reach
Paradise?
Indeed, sir.
Just keep your fingers crossed we don't bump into any of the cannibals I was telling you about.
Scia Vel Sciana, our first island. Dr. Johnson and I were met and welcomed by that most exotic of our brothers, the noble savage.
Cian Melia Falcher. Whatever few words you have in this house, Mr. Boswell, I must have them now. Fellow's waiting.
100,000 welcomes, my dear Dr. Johnson. Pray, let me introduce myself. Sir Aeneas Macpherson, 3rd Baronet. We had news at our house in Kensington that you might be arriving, and made haste to be here that our humble hospitality be offered you. Your master's baggage, fellow. I trust the swell has not interfered with your appetite for tiffin.
I have an appetite still for a great many things, sir, but I should be a liar if I said that tiffin was chief among them. Indeed, I have never tiffed in all my life. What is it? A pursuit? A handicraft and accomplishment, what?
Forgive me, 'tis none of these, but a coinage new minted in Kensington from the Urdu, and passed to me by my daughter, meaning a mid-morning snack.
I hope you're taking all this down for the dictionary's addenda, Mr. Boswell.
Blow up something lively there.
No! Bean! Sonny Bean! Him and his family were the worst cannibals in the whole of Scotland. Their wains used to eat one another. Don't even one of the kingsfolk race like. Him and the big Tory talking to his doctorship.
Pray allow me to introduce myself, Sir Aeneas. James Boswell, Esquire of Edinburgh and of... I can't. I am presently called to the Scottish Bar and am here in the Hebrides as Dr. Johnson's right hand. We are come to write up our journal.
Your fellow, what is he saying?
Alive, damn it! My plan is to write alive.
Something about his wife. You must translate. I cannot comprehend the half. What is he? Scotch?
Only by his being born here, sir. He would otherwise wish to be an Englishman, for he has it that England, being closer to the equator, breeds a more civilized and intelligent character. Is that not so, Mr. Boswell?
What? I cannot understand you for that terrible caterwauling, sir.
Whereas I think it rather sweet, mister.
What?
And so it fell out that we discovered ourselves at the Baronet's Tower House, where a country ball had been arranged in our honour. Out of a deference to our host and hostess, my being something of an expert in these matters, I took it upon myself to demonstrate the finer points of the Strathspey to her ladyship's paid companion woman, a Miss Campbell, for which she, Miss Campbell, that is, was much grateful. I could not help but notice, however, that my natural grace in the dance drew complimentary glances from quite another quarter.
Your fellow is certainly enjoying himself, Dr. Johnson.
Stanley, upon being introduced, for a seamstress and had a pair of his breeches sent for mending to my father's parsonage in Maidstone before we were married.
Drinks, our lady.
On you go. Shove the boat out.
Wherever did your secretary find such a creature?
I believe he had the good fortune to discover him baked in a pie, ma'am. 24.
My compliments, Sir Aeneas. Seldom have I reeled with such abandon out with our great capital city. Lady Macpherson, I thank you for the loan of your companion. Mademoiselle.
Please feel free to borrow Miss Campbell whenever it please, Mr. Boswell.
My thanks, Sir Aeneas.
Go on, sir. Borrow the baggage. I hazard you may not be fined like the circulating library does its members for the late return of a romance.
Papa!
Caroline, my dear.
Or is there perhaps some other slim volume you would rather pluck from the shelf? Is that it?
May I present Captain MacLeod of the Argylls?
My father's compliments, Sir Aeneas.
I shouldn't look now, sir, but I believe that a certain young lady is desirous of your company in a real.
Where? Ah, Miss Campbell. Would that I could, but my boots do pinch so from being in the sea this morning. Perhaps some other gentleman.
Sir, I could not help but notice you cut quite a caper just now. Might I ask you to oblige me by escorting Miss Macpherson onto the floor, whilst her papa and I discuss some business matters?
Your servant, sir.
Tis little consolation, Miss Campbell, but to a gentleman such as Mr. Boswell in his tight boots, a simper from a pretty wench is worth a hogshead of dubbing. Look how he prances.
To bed, then. My feet like ice, but my heart aflame. Oh, Caroline, Caroline. Seldom indeed had I reeled with such abandon. The fact of her mentioning the name of Captain MacLeod more than once during the course of our post-dance tete-a-tete did little to endear that wretched man to me, and I vowed to cuff him for a Jessie the next time we met.
That was a merry dance indeed, sir, to last until now.
Just so. Just so. The young lady showed me a variety of steps you learnt from her tutor in Chelsea. This in a room, of course, where we might be private. Lord, how we practiced.
But you mastered them in the end, Bossie.
What?
These new steps, Mr. Boswell.
Oh, yes, I did, sir. I did.
I shall get a little sleep. We are to be called early. With shipment to Rosse.
Yes?
Just thought I'd let you ken there was a boy cadet prowling the house a loaded piece, looking for a certain party.
Hey!
What are you looking at the one for? Was that Tumsy-headed big galoot that put us up to it?
Do not laugh, sir. I was merely showing the hutty my crotchety.
Having upbraided my companions for their mischievous prank, we travelled some distance in silence, until at last we came upon a hole in the rock, and there inside that most curious of our species, a hermit.
Here is some smoke, sir. I'll inquire if this be the right way to the ferry post. Good grief. He has the look of Methuselah about him.
Ask him how old he is, Mr. Boswell.
I shall do my best, sir. Pardon me, my good fellow, but the gentleman...
In the galley. Did he fool me balls of it English?
If you'll permit me, gentlemen.
My guinea puts him at 94.
And mine declares him to be 100.
Well, I was letting a few words in the air for a corporal in the militia.
Never heed the damn militia. What age is he? Have a guinea riding on his being a centenarian.
94, Mr. Boswell.
He'll be 41 next week, man. Oh, so long, skulk. Pour us on the throat with water. Very good eyeballs, so there. Whiskey wine, your doctorship. Pickles the body from the inside out. Let's wait there, Arthur.
Coming now to liquor, or as it is known hereabouts, scalp. A man may, upon rising, partake of his portion of it, but they're not a drunken race. At least I have never been present much in temperance. Some of them living to a ripe old age, upward of 41 in some instances.
Do you want me to count the bugger out of the water, Master Boswell?
I beg your pardon?
This useless gouk. Do you want me to plunge him into the brain deep, I'm asking?
And rob the literary world of a giant. A genius. How dare you? These are but jottings, scribbles. The finished article will be augmented and polished when we return to Edinburgh, rendering it unrecognisable from its present goodness. Oh, what is that man doing there? You there!
Can't he hug the sluice like a Glasgow Keeley, eh, Maester?
It is incredible, sir. These distant shores of Rossay and the horizon there do resemble uncannily the back end of Skye that we've quit but an hour since.
April 19th. Given that we had been on the road and the high seas for nigh on 18 days, I was very anxious that Dr. Johnson had not yet seen fit to wax philosophical, perhaps on Rossay. I vowed to keep my eyes and my ears open.
Were it not for its very obviousness, Mr. Boswell, I should declare this place hereabouts, surrounded as we are by the dead departed, as a suitable locus for looking at one's soul and compiling a menu of one's failings, nay, one's sins, sir, that has not been namby-pamby in such a setting. The greatest of which, in mine own case, is that of neglect. Neglect of others' welfare, others' pain, others' deprivation and want. Where some man has required a shilling, I have given him sixpence. Where a friend had need of a kind word, I have rewarded him with a grunt. Oh, Lord, that I might retrace my steps and make a kinder fist of it. That I might make recompense to those that sought my help. That asked of me only a look or a smile. A leg up, Mr. Boswell. A helping hand. When I've been asked by our Lord Saviour to be generous, I have been niggardly. Where he is gently chided that I should give, I've held back. I have been uncharitable, unkind, unchristian, damn it.
Now, here is a curious thing, Doctor. You see this death's head here? 'Tis the living image of the Lord Advocate that was at Edinburgh when I was devilling there. And that saintly man, not yet gone to his grave, but living still in Portobello. Why, but for its being a woman's visage, I should call it his twin, sir. My apologies, you were about to say something.
Get back here, you swing!
One inside the collecting our money at 25 to 1. Come on, I've got a boat to cut.
Having cheerfully quit that morbid churchyard, we made our way to the beach with our baggage, my serving man being nowhere to be found. It was here that we witnessed an unfortunate widow and her orphaned mites being sung off to America, where their lot might be less miserable. The doctor and I partook of some liquor, whilst a collection of monies was made that the departing family's passage be paid for. I managed to wipe away a tear as the mater familias stood her ground. A deep melancholy seized my heart as the collecting blanket approached our table.
There. I believe 1 or 2 sovereigns might be in order here, Mr. Boswell. Unless, of course, you've a mind to give more.
Chef, stop. Where the devil did you get to? Dr. Johnson and I to convey our luggage from the cemetery.
A glass of wine to celebrate here.
Lower your voice, man. There are women and children here deprived of a livelihood that must seek one elsewhere across the ocean.
Aye, and I'll be joining them. Oh, see what I've got at deck, skipper.
What is it now?
Your donation, sir, your donation.
Oh, yes, of course.
All right.
My donation.
Go to pass that bottle.
Of course, my donation. Certainly.
No, the bottle, you chuckster. I've just won a bloody fortune. Well, here's to the new world. For a man, make me... Wait a minute. Where's my purse went to? I was sitting here a minute ago.
I would return to you your few coppers when we're at the house and I've access to my bag.
What do you mean a few coppers? There was 27 guineas in one purse. What you done with it?
Don't be ridiculous. Where might a serving man obtain 27 guineas?
I won it in the snails. Snails? That money was for getting me to America.
And you may be glad that a number of your less fortunate cousins be provided a more comfortable passage to that very place than hitherto expected.
You never went and flying 27 guineas on blanket, did you?
Did I hear your manner right there, Mr. Boswell? Shame on me for believing you were miser, sir. Your master is alt for the tease, Joey. Alt for the tease.
Sheriff, not who father school, I'm saying, Dr. Johnson, it's a pity that your stay in Razi was of such a short duration. Because I have a question to ask you that cries out for an answer. Yourself, being a gentleman of great wisdom.
What question is that, Mr. McClure? You are taking this down for posterity, Mr. Boswell?
What are we doing here?
Here on this track, sir? Why, I believe we're making our way to the pier.
No, but here on earth, sir. Why did the good Lord create us? I'm asking.
Yes. Expunge that last exchange, Mr. Boswell. Let me think how best to answer you.
You may set it down in a letter to me if you so desire.
I have it here at my fingertips, sir. As a young man, I should have responded on the instant with, to know and reverence our Maker in this life, that we might love and serve him in the next. At 40, my reply, after a little thought, would be to arrive at enlightenment through hard work and achievement, to pass on to our fellows that which has sustained ourselves, that they might know him and his works a little better. At 60, my answer, coming slowly now, would be to learn humility, to serve our brothers and sisters, to be kind. But now, in my 65th year, you tell me, sir, you tell me.
Acclaimed, agus turas meguis, cachatas and drapes.
On the other hand, here may lie the answer, sir. To enjoy life. To feel the rush of blood to your cheek and a whispered exchange. Thrill to the warm breath of a lover at your neck. I beg your pardon, sir, twin lovers. Damn it to hell, Mr. Boswell, get rid of the wenches. Remember, Senor Gonorrhea.
We have an appointment for tea with an Italian gentleman. Another time, perhaps. I would remind you, sir, that I made that particular fellow's acquaintance through a lady of the London Theatre, and shouldn't imagine for a moment that he and I might be reacquainted by way of these two bonny lasses from the Hebrides here. A pox on you for impugning their honour with your diseased innuendo. I've a good mind to teach you a lesson in manners, sir.
I'd save my breath. He's my mist.
Oh, for God's sake. Dr. Johnson! If I were asked for a distillation of our journeys thus far, I should describe them as an odyssey. For I warrant that Ossian himself would be hard put to render into words the many wonders I have shown to Dr. Johnson that is so unfamiliar with these parts. May 2nd. Having missed spying Hawley's comet, we went to Kingsborough House, the home of that most celebrated of Scottish heroines, Flora MacDonald.
Into the ladies'
And then what, Ma'am? Then what? You see, sir, the prince was all dressed in women's garb and pretending to be a French maid should he and Mistress MacDonald here be apprehended.
Yes, I am familiar with the tale, Mr. Boswell. I do not mean to impute by so saying that I'm bored with its retelling, madam. On the contrary, I find it fascinating that you can recount it so vividly and will be mentioned by history as the most faithful and courageous of your sex. I must implore my companion here to stop from pestering you for another installment of Bonnie Shirley's Flicked and your own part in it until another evening. An old man snoring would indeed be a grave slight to the memory of the young pretender, would it not? You will excuse me. No, sir. You must stay and hear Mistress MacDonald's first-hand tale out. It may prove to you in its unfolding that you are, despite your adopting the manners and mode of an English macaroni, a true Scotchman, as I have always maintained, patriotic, foolhardy, and sentimental. Good night, Sir Madam. Good night, Mr. Boswell. I shall see myself up to bed.
And so it was with great sadness that we quit Skye for the second time and travelled to Mull in the wake of the Armada fleeing Gloriana's guns, excited at the prospect of seeing with our own eyes the great wealth in bullion brought up from the Florida that sunk in Tobermory Bay 200 years ago.
How much do they say is down there in the treasure ship, Mr. Boswell?
Upward of 10 millions in Spanish doubloons. McLean of Duart has tried on a number of occasions to have it raised, but all that has come up in their net so far is a pair of odd leather slippers and a single castanet carved from the ankle bone of an okapi. They are here engraved. All three artifacts may be viewed under glass in the state bedroom at Duart Castle in exchange for a penny. Ha! Do I take it you wish to hang on to your penny, sir? What are you doing back?
Ill tidings, Maester. There isn't a bed nor a blanket to be had between here and Nova Scotia.
What?
Some gow's getting married to a Queen of Hebrides, and he says if it's a legend hiss you're after, he's a rub a gum tree. Your man and yourself have to buckle down under the stores.
We have nowhere to rest our heads tonight. That is the gist of it, sir. Wipe that smirk off your face and all!
Dr. Johnson, I presume?
Your presumption is not ill-founded, sir. But I fear you have the advantage of me.
I have been expecting you hourly, my dear friend. My house has been made ready for your coming with 2 large beds and a palliasse for your servant, Joseph, here.
He is my servant.
And you are James Boswell, Esquire of Orkney. My very dear fellow.
I have read up accounts of the second sight before coming to these Hebrides, but I warrant this take the biscuit, sir. How might you learn of our arrival and make ready your house? But Mr. Boswell and I knew of our coming here to Mull only this morning when we set sail, sir.
Let me introduce myself. I'm Dr. Reed of Calgary and Peckham. Gentlemen.
And you're a doctor of what? Clairvoyancy, black magic, what?
I have medicine, Mr. Boswell. There's no trick to it. Save for the trick of communication. A bird may beat a boat any day, and this little chap I have raised from a chick. I have a nephew in Rasay who sent him winging across the waves with news of your imminent arrival fastened to his leg in miniature. But come, let us delay no further. Step into my gig, and we'll refresh ourselves at my house with tea and lively conversation. Pray, where next do you bound, sir?
Come along. Come along!
Aye, the island of Iona is surely worthy of a visit. I recall some years past, my wife and I travelling there for spiritual refreshment.
Judging from your generosity and radiant good nature, my dear sir, there is no need to ask if you discovered that refreshment. Would you not agree, Dr. Johnson?
I most certainly would, Mr. Boswell. If this be how Iona affects a man, then put me aboard ship and take me there tomorrow.
Pray, describe in some detail your setting foot in that blessed rock. Is there an abbey there? What relics of Columba might there be? Now, here is something to record, sir.
Well, I regret so to disappoint you, gentlemen, but we never did reach Iona. Our ship was turned back by a sudden storm. This radiant good nature of mine that strikes you so does not come from any spiritual source, for I am an atheist since medical school, but from my wife's falling overboard and drowning in the sea as we re-entered Tobermory Bay. She was quite the ugliest, most overbearing and ill-tempered creature that ever walked the earth. I have a likeness of her next door in bitumen, compared to which the Gorgon appears a milksop. In 20 years, she addressed me but twice by my given name, and then only to castigate me for a poltroon. It was, however, she that insisted upon our pilgrimage to St. Colum's Isle, so absolved me of any guilt at her perishing. Oh, blessed day. Help yourself to more tea, gentlemen.
Here you get in your bucket. Quit your mischief. You'll get two my boot up your shock.
And now, gentlemen, the centerpiece of my little collection. Et voila!
My God! I swear I never saw such a creature save in a book I had as a boy. Do you not think it wondrous, Dr. Johnson?
No, I do not, Mr. Boswell. I think it nothing more wondrous than a leveret married to a quarter halibut and furnished with a little wig of hair from a wax doll. Where did you come by this mermaid? Was she caught locally?
To my certain knowledge, she was not. Otherwise, every Tom, Dick and Hamish on the island would have one. No, she was a present to me from my then housekeeper, Mistress Ogilvy, that bought her from a Norwegian sea captain, together with a birth certificate on dubious parchment. Call me a fool if you wish, gentlemen, but I've grown rather attached to this strange wee lass over the years, and I would not part with her for a box of gold. Look at those little gills below her oxters there, and the way the candlelight shimmers across her scales. See.
That's your suppers, it. I haven't blown that. I mean the corporal in our barracks is one of them. That's the rabbit stitched out of Harry's arse, isn't it?
May 26th. It was a great disappointment to the doctor and I not to set foot on that blessed rock as planned, but our ship carried us to Coll, where we discoursed on a great many things, not least the lives of illustrious men.
I remember very well my calling upon the great David Hume on his deathbed and asking him whether he had altered his opinion regarding the existence of God.
Had he?
He had, sir, he had. Whereas before he had been sceptical, as he clung to life with the slenderest of threads, he was absolutely certain there was no such being.
Ah!
Good day to you, gentlemen.
And to you, Mull.
We spotted you walking through our glass and took the liberty of coming to greet you. What is your business on Coll, pray?
Our business is pleasure, madam. My companion here is setting our journeys in a book. My manservant is in now at the far end of Coll, making arrangements for us to travel to Barra. This is Dr. Samuel Johnson from London on his first journey to Scotland.
I should have recognized you anywhere, Dr. Johnson.
Your servant, ma'am.
That strange quirk. I have about me a copy of Rasmus. What did you put your signature to the flyleaf? Not for me, you understand, for my father here.
I want to write with. Whom shall I dedicate it?
You may simply put Coll.
Oh, there is a happy coincidence now. We are on Coll, and your father's name is Coll. James Boswell, sir, of Auchinleck and Edinburgh. It is very pleasant to make your acquaintance.
It may be anything that please you. With sincere felicitations. Yours humbly. Best of all, to an esteemed colleague. For, you see, my father, too, is an author of some distinction. Perhaps you've come across Macaulay Kearta, or Coll Kitto, A True Man of the Left, which he has had published at his own expense. Perhaps you've read it, even.
I think I may say with some certainty that I've not, ma'am. I shall place here my initials and the date of our chance encounter. Let that suffice.
You're too kind.
No one man may be too kind, ma'am. You may think it kind if it please you. To me it was a chore. I'm forever being apprehended and required to put my name to some item or other. You may say it is what an author might expect that features so frequently in the broadsheets. But I thought that by coming here to so remote a part of our kingdom, I might somehow be spared the irritation. Alas, I am not. You may tell your father from me that he is a blackguard. To publish is bad enough. To publish privately is an affront. To a more honest, were he to step along Grub Street, snatching the very crumbs from the hungry maws of the hack's offspring, at least then they could put a face to effrontery. Good day to you. Come on, Mr. Boswell, let us continue with our walk.
Carry on, Mr. Boswell. We're not offended. On the contrary, it's just what one expects of a man of genius.
Mr. Boswell!
You will excuse me, Mull. And you, sir. I am there. I am coming!
It is not so wondrous a novel that he should have the casual arrogance to put the wrong date upon it. Today's the 25th, not the 24th. Damned impertinence.
Damned impertinence! Any fool may write for pleasure. It takes a hungry fool to write for money. Where is our promised ship that's to ferry us to Byrne, Jimmy?
Yes, what have you done with our boat? Oh, it's something jukes. What do you suppose I've done with it? Here, you have a look and it'll do any good.
If I had a shilling for every time I fought back the urge to box your ears, I should be the richest man in Scotland. You must wait here till you spy the vessel, then run quickly and tell us. We shall walk on a ways in search of a bothy or the like. Come, sir.
Where are you taking me?
You must let the master know he is not to sail away again until we are... Oh, I meant to warn you. There's a wee of pre-hysterical violence he's talking the grunny here about. If a man might tumble into a pheasant carry.
What did he say? He said there are many interesting bronze-age sites we might care to investigate whilst awaiting the arrival of our boat to Barra.
You may thank him from me, sir. I shall reward him later with a severe thrashing.
You may no longer regard yourself in my employ, you scoundrel!
Regard yourself no longer is better usage, sir.
The doctor and I could have done ourselves an almighty mischief by falling into this pit.
Broch!
What?
It isn't a pit, it's a broch. Your Bronze Age dwelling house. You all right there, Doctor? Haven't they broken nothing, no?
Save for my half-hunter, I'm in one piece. So help me God.
Look what is here, Doctor. Some sort of ancient writings.
A pox in your ancient writings! Oh, you're familiar enough with your Bronze Age hieroglyphs. They amuse you. You cannot string two words together of your own ancient tongue. Let me see. Pretend attention. I see nothing here that provoked me to laughter, Mr. Boswell.
We've managed to fashion on into a rope line and give a shout as the boat just appeared in the horizon.
And so to Barra, where I was to present our credentials to a Lady MacDonald, a widow woman I had not met, but whose silhouette likeness I had been shown back in Edinburgh, from which I supposed her to be in her dotage, and much scarred by the smallpox, though that may have been the after effects of silverfish upon the paper from which her silhouette profile had been cut.
Well, what are you waiting for? I always thought you drawn towards the Church of Rome.
Drawn towards it, aye, but I should consider myself a fool were I sucked into it. I shall wait here till our hostess in prospect exits this place.
How do we recognize her brag?
Why, sir, by her very substance. She is a lady, is she not?
Substance, indeed. I warrant you'd find substance in a blamond, Mr. Boswell, and in a set of pretty pins and a fetching dimple.
Ah, we meet again, Mr. Boswell, and so very soon.
I fear you have mistook me for another, dear lady.
And I presuming to have made a conquest when my father and I chanced upon you and Dr. Johnson only yesterday and had him dedicate a copy of his clever romance.
Miss Coll, forgive me. I did not realize. But how did you get here to Barra? I was not aware of your presence on our ship.
We have our own ship, Mr. Boswell. You lost someone, perhaps?
I'm here to find a Lady MacDonald, to whom I have a letter of introduction. The doctor and I are to spend the next several days with her. I was told aboard ship she would be here at Mass.
She was indeed at Mass.
Then where the devil is she? Cannot for the life of me see anyone that could pass for a lady here. What is it, Philip? What?
Well, where is she? Where is our hostess in prospect? I should like a cosy billet out of this chill and a warm blanket for Hodge.
She may not have wandered far, sir. What is it?
You will forgive me, but I recognize your face, do I not, madam?
Do you, sir?
Oh, you must not tell me. It will spoil the game. Nor you, Mr. Boswell. I know this lady. Wait, oh, I have it here right in the very tip of my tongue. Desist, damn you. I have it. You are an actress, madam. Come to prominence but lately in some melodrama that's name eludes me. It was on the London stage at Drury Lane. You see, I'm right there, I'm right. Madam, you may think me impertinent if you will, but my companion and I have lunch with a Lady Macdonald at her castle. May I invite you to entertain us there? You may fetch as many of your fellow artistes as you want or need you. You may come entirely by yourself. Tell me you will be there, dear lady.
You may count upon it, sir. I will most certainly be there.
Your most humble servant. What is it?
Does your carriage arrive, Lady MacDonald, ma'am?
I should appreciate the return of my hand, sir.
Oh.
Thank you, Hector. Good day to you, Dr. Johnson. My gratitude for you passing the time so entertainingly till my transport got here.
You knew her from yesterday, damn it!
We were not at the plays yesterday, Mr. Boswell. We're at Coll.
Just so. On the beach.
Huh?
Where you berated her father for a blackguard.
That was never Miss Coll.
It was not she who called herself Miss Coll, but I.
Then it is you that is to blame for this farrago, Mr. Boswell. Why, any man might misconstrue those features and set them erroneously upon the stage. Eh? They are dramatic. That nose, those eyes, that mouth. Oh, that mouth, sir. That mouth.
Well, that's all very well, but what are we to do now? Where are we to lodge now? You've certainly scuppered our chances of hospitality in that quarter, if not by your nasty ill temper yesterday, then by your utterly oily and inappropriate behavior today.
That was a mistake, sir.
Oh, I should think it bloody well was. I should not care to be fawned o'er as a flea if I were an elephant, sir. Nor yet a sapling were I a giant redwood tree. I should not care to be fawned o'er whatever. We must dispatch Joseph here with a note of the most abject apology.
Steady on.
I will say that you were taken ill with a tropical delirium. The blackguard insult. You wholeheartedly retract.
I'm only taking any note. I recognize the woman straight away.
Here! Get along! Hurry! Pray that performs the trick, sir. Pick those feet up, you bugger!
I did not speak, sir.
What? He did not say anything, Father.
Ah, what is here? I think one of your serving staff has lost a sleeve button, ma'am.
That, Mr. Boswell, is a truffle.
Truffle.
The devil it is. Damned instant-looking item.
You spoke, sir?
I did not, madam.
One...
Yes?
One hunts. Hunts, your ladyship. One hunts,
For truffles, you mean?
if you like, ma'am.
One leaves that to one's dogs or one's pigs, sir. They're so much better trained to it.
Pigs, madam.
Wild pigs. Peccary.
Once penned a treatise on that very topic, but no one would publish it.
Which topic, brother?
Buggery. Couldn't find a printer within 100 miles that would touch it with a long stick. Well, isn't that what we're discussing?
We're discussing truffles, dear. What you've just eaten.
Yes, damned rife there, damned rife. Man in my house was severely flogged for it. What's the state of play at your establishment, sir? Is it frowned upon or tolerated?
I believe you have erroneously taken me for another, Lord Coll. I am a writer. I work alone. I do not have an establishment.
Dr. Johnson here is the author of the book we had signed yesterday. The one I'm reading to you of an evening. Restless.
It is called Rasselas.
Quite right, sir, quite right. It is the only sure and certain manner in which to deal with it.
I didn't have such a picnic either, gents. At least you two had a feather bed to lay your heads. All I had was a coon and a buyer up to here in cool shite.
Yes, well, I should have traded your cool shite for my boredom any time, sir. Never was such a pound of flesh exacted by one man with so much relish and given up by another with so little protestation. I am now as familiar with that aged scribbler's outpourings as I am with mine own. 18 volumes of fiction, 7 of history, and innumerable essays on everything from buggery to beekeeping.
You may tell your mistress on returning that Dr. Johnson sends his kind regards.
Yes.
Where might we find Sir Alan Macquarie, to whom she has been kind enough to pen a note of introduction?
Yes, yes. Alan Macquarie. Alan Macquarie, that's what we call him. Aye.
Well, come along, Joseph, come along!
Aye.
Am I to lug all of this baggage by myself?
Aye. Aye, a Macquarie. Aye, that's what you call him on Gaelic, Macquarie.
This way, sir. Let us pray that their being acquainted is of no great significance, and that this Macquarie gentleman is not of a similar kidney to her ladyship.
Ah, Catherine, dear Catherine, she's such a tease. She writes here that she's pleased to offload you onto me, and that I should take care not to introduce you to my daughter, lest you treat her as a doxy, and insult her parent as a blackguard. No.
So that will be my serving man with her baggage. Shall I?
Oh, let me ask Benjamin to lend him a hand to lift them upstairs. Well, sirs, this is a rare treat, a rare treat. I cannot recall when we had two such celebrated men under this roof. My daughter, Elizabeth, has your dictionary by her bedside, Doctor. She is resolved to commit at least 4 new words to her vocabulary each day until she has memorized the lot. Ah, Benjamin, we have 2 guests that are just arrived from Barra. You must help their manservant with their belongings and make certain their apartments are comfortable.
Yes, sir, massa.
I brought him back with me from America when I was across there with 100 of our island men fighting in the war. He was sold to me for 2 shillings. And a bag of corn maize. You'll take a pipe of tobacco, Dr. Johnson. I will not, sir. 'Tis a pernicious weed that rot the brain and the teeth altogether. But I thank ye kindly for the offer it.
What are you for? What's that you say? I said, what you for? You're surely not for hereabouts. Hereabouts? I've just tumbled. You fell across the water. America, right?
All I was doing is taking these aloft, like the master told me.
No, hold your horses. Whoa! I was all set for to gang till America myself. Only on me steamer bend the room there, waiting flying all my winnings into a blanket for to send some other bastards. I could have bloated them. So what's it like, this America? I was once showed a book with these reed aboriginals who drink water made of fire and massacre all the Scotch families. So after heads with hatches.
Whoa. Just let me take this aloft, and I'll come talk with you.
Well, I'll get on there. What are they crying? My name's Joseph. Did you ever come across that place again? Lindu? You went to America. You sure you feel like I got here?
So tell me, sirs, what has most excited you on this, your first tour of our islands?
I know what has excited Mr. Boswell the most. Better name to my king, sir. Take it back. As for myself, 'tis a close run tie twixt the prospect of Inchcolumkill and the unexpected majesty of the hills of Skye as seen from a dinghy.
Ah, yes, indeed, sir.
And then again, there was a circle of standing stones not far from Dunvegan that put me in mind the fleeting nature of our time on this earth. And an extremely tedious old gentleman of Coll that made it seem that we should be here for all eternity.
And you, sir?
What?
What has brought a flush to your cheek and a flutter to your heart, eh?
Oh, I find the fire very hot, sir. Very hot indeed.
On your travels, Mr. Boswell. On your travels.
Travels? Oh, yes. Travels. What about our travels, sir?
2 shillings the bag of what?
Corn maize. Well, I belong to my present massa. I belong to Massa McGregor. But I don't answer to that name no more. I answer to Benjamin Macquarie nowadays.
Christ. You may as well have a collar in your throat like a dog. Or a cat. Get down, you spoilt brute.
So what you telling me, Joe? You ain't no slave?
Of course I'm only a slave. Don't talk daft.
So where you sleep last night? Where you sleep last night, huh?
What do you mean, where did I sleep? Slept in a coos shed.
And where you sleeping tonight? Where you sleeping tonight, Joe? Up a lock with your massa. Or down here with old Benjamin and that there cat. Boy.
Aye. Right enough.
Yes, well played, Miss Macquarie. Some fine touches, Dr. Johnson.
They were neither fine nor were they touches, Mr. Boswell. They were rumbustious and they were flourishes. Ornamental flourishes quite unnecessary to such an already decorated structure as our host's charming daughter hath made upon the keys.
4 shillings and a bag of maize. Who'll bid me higher for this fine specimen?
What the devil is happening here? Calm down, sir. It's just Joseph having a little sport with us.
Here is nae sport, Doctor. Come on, you'll pay more for a clapped-out old cuddy in the Gallagate in Glasgow than for this man that was bought in America and brung back here in irons by those fine gentlemen at whose fireside you toast your hersies.
How dare you, fellow? I swear to God I'll cap you for a brazen, foul-mouthed upstart!
Aye, and you'll get 2 cuffs back. Better an upstart any time than a downtrodden chattel.
Well put, sir.
There's no call to encourage the bugger! I beg your pardon, Miss Macquarie. My humble apologies for this outrageous secret.
Stop creating to and sundry. This brother of mine was sold like a beast to this bastard. On your feet, you bastard.
Don't pack me, you scoundrel! I wouldn't do that, master.
No, sir, I wouldn't do that.
Here's a guinea coin, Your Honour.
I do not have a guinea coin. Lend me a guinea, Mr. Boswell.
For what purpose, pray?
Just days your tail.
Aye, days your tell, sir. Thanks. There, fella, you may owe it to Mr. Boswell there.
That's your expenditure back. With interest. Oh, aye, and here's your corn maize. Oh, there isn't quite a bagful, but I dare say you'll not be too displeased at that. This way, Benjamin. Good night to you, Dr. Johnson. Good night to you, Maester Boswell. There's a fine pub in Glasgow cried the Saracen Heat. If you'll stop Mark, we'll go and have a pint and a dram together. Before he is. Do you ken if there's any snail racing hereabouts?
Ah, now there was a lesson well illustrated. And some fine touches, gentlemen.
Zee, go upstairs to your bedroom.
Sir, I cannot tell you how furious I am.
Come, Mr. Boswell. We'll take our own baggage downstairs. Oh, I had a large cat with me this morning when I arrived. Give me some time there.
So it came to pass that we found ourselves, in the words of my erstwhile manservant, bunked doon on other stores. A not entirely disagreeable experience, but one that did nothing for the freshness of my linen on this our last morning in the Hebrides.
Mading, Waguer, Ugus, Jarava, are both Mateng Via. A vengo more na commerce na tobach shave mehav, Schmachumpenok, go the heish of our Torok, Vadaristash, go Hazer von Chin.
Ah, you're welcome. What other use of books, Mr. Boswell, but to help us a little through this valley of tears? No, indeed. You have shown me a glimpse of paradise in these Hebrides of yours.
Hiya! You!
Mate, I can't do your talk. How was your feather beds last night? Comfortable, was you?
It is thanks to you, you untutored oaf, that we slept behind a dike, and then only fitfully. Step down and lend us a hand with these.
Where is your brother today, Mr. Joseph? I did not see him with you.
Oh, he went back to the house about midnight to climb in by a window and collect his bride to be that's carrying his Byrne.
You cannot mean...
I'm afraid he does, Mr. Boswell.
Miss Lizzie! The minute we set foot in Edinburgh, you're dismissed as a rogue! And without references!
Yeah. Come on. Here.
So tell me, Doctor, what prospects do you see that's best about Scotland?
Finest prospect an Englishman may see of Scotland is the road to the Isles, Jerry. Road to the Isles, Mr. Boswell. Road to the Isles.
As I watched Dr. Johnson and Joseph drive off, I could not help feeling that I'd somehow forgotten something, but could not for the life of me imagine what that something might be.